All right, let's go to the first topic that you guys sent in. And the first email today comes to us from Jerry Martin, who writes, "Hey, John, great show. Thank you so much, Jerry. Could you please help me understand what's the difference between story and screenplay? Thanks a lot." Okay, so I've actually gotten a few people emailing me about this recently, about they'll see a credit on IMDb that says story by, and they'll see a credit that says screenplay by, right? And a lot of people think, well, aren't those the same thing? Actually, they're not. It's a very simple difference. Let's say, for argument's sake, I don't know, let me come up with a movie here. Let's say Ant-Man, okay? Let's say Ant-Man. Let's say I went to Kevin Feige with this idea for a story, and I give him like a 3-minute pitch. Okay, so you got this guy who's a thief. He's been in prison. He gets out. He's hired to rob this guy's house, and there's a suit in there, and it ends up being the Ant-Man suit, and the guy's house was the original Ant-Man. And now the original Ant-Man decides he wants to use him as his guy, and there's this thing going on with the guy who took over Hank Pym's company. Hank Pym's, the bad guy who's trying to take over the company, he becomes Yellowjack, and he wants to sell it to Hydra, and it works out like this. So I give him the basic idea. I tell him the story, right? In like 2 minutes, I give him the story. And Kevin Feige goes, great, I'm going to hire this writer over here to write it out into a script. So there's the difference. I came up with the story. The screenwriter now takes that story, that 2-minute pitch, that here's all the beats, here's basically my outline for the story, and now turns that into a 115-page screenplay and actually fleshes it all out and writes it out. That's the difference. So you can see story by so-and-so. That means that guy came up with the basic idea. Okay, what if we had our character do this? This is our villain. Here's their conflict. At some point they do this, and then they move on to this. And then in Act 3, we work out this, this, and this, and this, and does like a 2 or 3 page outline. This is our story. That's story by. Then they get a screenwriter to actually do the hard work of now fleshing that all out and making a screenplay. So that's I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, for sure I am, but that gives you a basic idea that when you see a credit says story by, that doesn't mean they wrote it. That just means they kind of came up with the general outline. And then the screenwriter is the one who does the heavy lifting that actually goes in and fleshes the whole thing out. So that's basically the difference between the story by and that. And also, sometimes you can see a story by credit where it's like, if somebody's basing a movie on a book, let's say I wrote a book, right? And it's called Loving Your Mouse is the name of the book. Learn to love your mouse. That's the name of my book, right? And somebody decides I want to make a movie out of that, and they get a screenwriter to write a screenplay for it. I may get a story by credit. I'll get it like story by John Campea. So again, I'm oversimplifying it, but that gives you the general idea. Okay, let's move on to the second topic. And